Adam, we're here because we love you. And we're all tired of watching you get abused.
Abused? By who?
Oh, hi, I'm Visa. I charge you 29% interest, 3% foreign fees, and make you wait 3 days to see if your payment went through.
But I thought you were my friend.
No, Dash is your friend. Instant, private, under a penny, and with Dash Spend, you walk into over 100,000 stores and pay like a boss.
All ready? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. Feel alive, guys. This is awesome. Tastes like freedom. And I save 5% by using the app.
That's the Dash High, baby.
Let's go.
Download the mobile wallet, one tap, boom, financial sovereignty.
So hey everyone, happy Friday. It's the pre-intro. Hi. I switched it up. So I used to just have a boring waiting screen at the start of these things, and then I switched it up to I started playing, because I started getting these things like the Circle of Exit Liquidity and others. Bangers, absolute bangers. And I got looping animations with those. I started playing those at the start. And then at the end, it was always like a weird play out. So Sal the Agorist got this Dash ad made. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just throw this at the end of the thing anyway? But today, because we have some fun stuff to talk about with the Dash side, I was like, I'm going to run a free Dash ad. Now, I used to get my full disclosure, whatever. I used to get paid like $500 a month to run an ad at the beginning of the thing. I don't right now. If anyone wants to pay me, let me know. But in the meantime, I'm going to give some more freebies to Dash. You're welcome, ingrates in the Dow. So, that is what it is. How's it going, my man?
Man, it is going so well. Good to talk to you, Joel. I'm really excited for today's podcast. I haven't been on in a while. I love this podcast. This is awesome. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you. And I love having you on, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't. No offense, but I wouldn't if I didn't love it. But
just facts.
Also, like, you've had me on the Thorchain podcast a couple times already. And since you helped me and are on the Crypto Quorum thing, I don't always want to be like, hey, you want to do something else too? You want to keep like,
Nah.
like I don't want to I want to load balance it, right? And thankfully, this is a fantastic space, and I have so many great friends and great people to have on. So I'm not like, this is my one cool guy, but you're in the top coolest ranking. But thankfully, I have other
Likewise,
options to give you a break once in a while.
You can always have me on, man. I love these shows. This is what I live for. I love just talking about the stuff and the things that we're building on. It's invigorating. So never be shy to ask me to come on your show, man. I'll make it happen. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, how's it been with you generally outside of the big topics that we're gonna cover when we hit the actual show?
Doing okay. I say I'm doing well, I would say. You know, the world's a crazy place, of course, and it's beyond our control as individuals. But, Thorchain is alive. Thorchain's going. For those who don't know, Thorchain's like the first ever cross-chain DEX, real layer 1 to layer 1, permissionless, no KYC, decentralized, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. We had an attacker attack us, GG20 cryptography exploits, super advanced attack, crazy. But we survived it. It was very painful, but we got through it. And it's just another of many challenges that we have encountered and conquered. And now 3.20 is coming Monday, Joel. And we can finally get some chains added to Thorchain and churn. So that's a big deal. So, and Dash was going to be in that lineup. So I'm so excited to finally get Dash on Thorchain. It's been far too long.
Yeah,
far too long. But it's happening. So really.
Yeah, and we'll have to talk about how that goes. We'll probably do that in the actual show portion. I mean, it's kind of pre-chat. It all blends. Sometimes I'm talking and people are like, oh, this isn't started yet? I'm like, well, no, it's pre-started. And then people are like, oh, like, you mean we've been live this whole time? I'm like, yes, I said 3, 2, 1. And hey, everyone. And it's like, hey, who's everyone? I'm not calling you everyone. You're one person. It's not I am legion for we are many. I mean, come on.
I am a plural. I'm a narcissist.
There's a lot of that going on these days, unfortunately. Let's not bring up
everyone.
Let's not
me.
bring up sociopolitics here about the they them. So let's keep that there. The last thing I want to say before we get to the actual show is I want to shout out this shirt. This is from Americans for Prosperity in New Hampshire.
Yeah, let's go. Become ungovernable.
And
Woo!
what it shouts out is in 1775, there was so much rebellious attitude from the colonists of New Hampshire, the Free State of New Hampshire, that the British governor, Governor Wentworth, fled. He just ran for his life. So it was several months later, at least, when finally New Hampshire was like, you know what? We're going to declare our own independence. We're going to self-govern now, because the governor had been gone for a while. And so New Hampshire declared independence 6 months before the Declaration of Independence happened. So again, New Hampshire's the freedom pioneer in the country. And in true like pioneer format, sometimes real pioneers don't always make like a nice formal like announcement for the history books. Sometimes they just chase their tyrant the hell out and then later like saying, maybe we should tell everyone we did that. So that's kind of how it went. So that's what this Become Ungovernable shirt indicates. And Americans for Prosperity is working very hard. Again, I have a lot of people who are very close to me who work for them. I used to, way back in the day, in fact, I used to work for Americans for Prosperity Arizona in 2009. So that's kind of my history in there. But great friends, not sponsored, obviously. But I just want to shout out to the ungovernability. And this is what crypto is all about. Become ungovernable. Run your own things. No one can say, you can't make that transaction. You can't make that swap. You can't hold your own money. We're going to take some out here. Like, no one can do that. Become ungovernable. Ready for the intro, man?
Let's do it, buddy. Let's go.
So welcome everyone, officially. Welcome to the Digital Cash Rundown, episode 233. Now, I don't know if you can do anything related to math, or maths, as the non-freedom people call it, but 233 weeks is a lot of weeks to have done this show since early 2020. I'm joined by the one and only herald of the free apocalypse, Patriotsounds, whatever that sounds like. How's it going, man?
It's going very well, dude. I love this show. How's everyone doing today? Oh my gosh, I'm so fired up. Thank you for inviting me, man. I cannot wait to talk about all the stuff we're going to talk about. It's going to be so awesome. Yeah,
no worries. This is I'm not usually, except when I'm swear on a swear. I'm not usually that fired up on these kinds of things, but I am extra caffeinated today, so I'm going to blame it on the drugs. So that's kind of what
Let's do it.
So despite hype, good, everything's fun, everything's not necessarily great. We come to you in a series of in a humble and solemn kind of a thing. There was an issue which I don't know exactly when you remember it happening, but there was an issue with our buddies at the Maya Protocol. So real quick to explain, Denny loves Thorchain, big Thorchain guy. Maya Protocol is the sister chain of Thorchain. It's a friendly fork. It's kind of like what Bitcoin and Litecoin's relationship was supposed to sort of be like, until the maxis ended up being pieces of crap and just Litecoin forged its own path. Maya Protocol has been the steady backup. The Mayans helped Thorchain in its time of need when the whole insolvency crisis hit. And Maya's just been quietly in the background helping everyone else out. And unfortunately, they got hit by an exploit. So let me just show the post and the discussion, and then I'll let you chime in on that. So first off, Alex, the founder, said, sad news, we will work to fix and recover in whole. We carry on. And it's talking about, there's no way to sugarcoat this. It seems we have likely been exploited buy 20 Bitcoin and other assets, basically 1.7 million total in the last hour, sharing more info. It was a very sophisticated exploit that is like a 6-step thing. And so basically, when a decentralized protocol loses a bunch of money, people who had their money in it lose money, and it shakes confidence in the thing, and it really sucks. But as the mind said, the exploit tested us. Our response is resilience. We're focused on actions, solutions, and rebuilding stronger. Behind the scenes, we're still cooking. Blah, blah, blah. So, what's your hot take on this whole thing?
Well, just to give some clarity to what you were saying earlier, yeah, my protocol is a friendly fork of Thorchain. It's like the same community. Alux, however you want to say it. He is part of the one of the signers on the treasury that helps Thorchain. So it's a deeply intertwined community. My protocol can be thought of as a redundancy to Thorchain. Again, as I said before the show had started, like Thorchain is cross-chain, permissionless layer 1 swaps, no KYC, the first ever, and my protocol is the backup to that. It's a redundancy. And this really hurts because, Joel, you said that, my protocol helped Thorchain out of a tough spot a little over a year ago, and that's very true. And seeing it's like your best friend getting just absolutely hurt really hard. But, I've reached out to Alex. I've reached out, to the team. I've wished them well. And of course, it's the same community, right? So they're going to bounce back from it. They really are. There's no quit. As people know, Thorchain, like, it's such a huge attack surface, our protocols. And to your point about the 6-step concatenation attack, it's very intimidating what AI can do. It's so unbelievably complex.
Attack, maybe.
Concatenation, yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Like,
maybe it's not the time for puns, but I couldn't resist.
But to take 6, okay, and for everyone who knows, there was 2 separate audits done by 2 separate auditing teams. Excuse me, auditing firms. I don't know why I blanked out there. And this code has been around for 4 years, right? So this was very deep in the weeds, and this is something that AI can just brute force. It's very intimidating, Joel. It's opened a lot of questions in my mind about, is open source? Should you go to a semi-closed open source? I don't want to change the topic too much, but it is truly incredible what AI can do. I mean, it's almost godlike at this point. There's just no human that can go that deep with that many variables, So it's a hard deal, man.
It is rough. And sorry, go ahead. You can add to that.
Well, I was going to say, Thorchain is not susceptible to this attack vector, by the way, guys. They have a certain logic when it comes to slashing in vaults. There's vaults that are custodied by a quorum of decentralized nodes, and this impacted LPs. So not relative to Thorchain, if anyone's wondering. I should have said that before, but go ahead.
Now, is that only because of protocol-owned liquidity, or is that something else? Am I missing that?
They have different logic, and I'm not a super expert on my protocols specifics, but they do have LPs and separate logic. POL is a blocker to this. And I think POL, the decision to go to POL on Thorchain, although it was kind of forced a little bit, it actually silver linings. It worked out. It's just reduced attack surface, because if you have protocol owned liquidity, that's what POL is, guys, then it's always there, and it's always custodied by a quorum of nodes, and the decentralization of Thorchain is pretty good. So yes, I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So let me touch on that subject a little bit, just out of my own curiosity, because again, I am what you would call a obviously good friend of Thorchain and my protocol. I would call myself knowledgeable to maybe very knowledgeable, but not expert.
Yeah, you are.
It's not like there's almost no stone unturned in the Dash workings of things that I don't know surface level how it works. Obviously, I'm not a developer, so I'm not that. But I only have that level for Dash. For everything else, I know I can explain the inner workings very well, but not that way. So all that being said, for protocol and liquidity, one of the things I liked the most about the Maya protocol, the Thorchain at first, and then the Maya protocol, of course, was the way it was truly decentralized, meaning every piece of it, you could just run a node without anyone asking. You could do whatever you want without asking. And what I didn't really like about chain flip, and this is, again, I've had no run-ins with the chain flip people personally. I've had Simon on my podcast as well. He seemed great. It seemed like a great idea. The Near folks as well, they seem to outsource the market making to more professionalized market makers, rather than just anyone can click a button and you can provide liquidity. Now Thorchain, with protocol owned liquidity, which Maya does not have as far as I'm aware, is kind of almost moving in that vibe, not the exact direction. So I guess the question is, how does the protocol add liquidity, and who actually makes that choice? So let's just say we needed to add liquidity. We want liquidity to go into Thorchain in its pools. Where, not just where has the money come from, but like in a structural code term, where does the money come from, and who decides to put the money in there?
Yeah, so the original POL that's there now, it has come from the Treasury. The Treasury is a private fund that dates all the way back. I think it's like 2019 to 2020. I'm not 100% on those details, but so that money was basically donated to the protocol, right? So that protocol is custodied by the nodes. So that is the POL that exists today. How it's going to work, there's an update calling 3.20. That's going to go live Monday. I forget the exact time. And what that is now nodes can select a Mimir. Mimir is like a toggle on and off switch. And now a percentage of the revenue will be going to the pools. Now, I don't know exactly what the nodes are going to agree on. Maybe it's 10%, 15, 20, 25%. They want to be kind of aggressive with it too. And so every, 25% of all the revenue from real cross-chain swaps, that'll get directed to the pools. And I'm not sure on the logic yet if there's going to be individual pools that it will not go to, like the Bitcoin pool. There's a bunch of reasons for that, but I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here. But basically, it's going to be an automated process by the Mimirs. We moved away from LPs, and it sounds interesting because it almost sounds like a centralization, but the whole thing with Thorchain is no third-party contingencies whatsoever. Everything has to be fully self-sufficient, right? So the one thing we found with LPs is that when they deposit their money, they can withdraw at any time, right? When a node churns into the network, they cannot withdraw their bond until they churn out. And so there's a lot more friction there. And we have found that, in my opinion, I've changed my mind on this. It's actually more secure to have POL custody by the quorum of the centralized validator set, because LPs, they can come and go as they please. And the revenue accrual as an LP, the liquidity wasn't the best because you were subject to impermanent loss. Like, it did work, but then we kind of messed it up a little bit a few years ago. I don't want to get too big in the history of Thorchains, but I think that POL is a more secure model, and I think it reduces the attack surface, like we saw with Maya protocol, unfortunately, right? Where you have to give percentage of yield to LPs. But if it's all going to the nodes, like all the yield, except a certain percentage, which is directly reduced to the POL, I think that's a more elegant and simple solution. I'm subject to change my mind on that, but it's an interesting debate for sure.
I mean, if the protocol is decentralized, then the protocol owning liquidity doesn't seem to make no sense, right? It seems to be consistent, at least.
Right.
Now, I guess in some ways, the Maya protocol kind of started this idea in a weird way, because Maya nodes are LP unit bonded, meaning they have the liquidity in the pools as well as Cacao, obviously. So they don't have just the main token.
Correct.
And so, first of all, the thing is, everything's so evolutionary, which is how you know a project's trying to succeed. Is this the case in Thorchain today? I know there's been discussions of making nodes bonded with liquidity units.
It is not. It is all just bonded Rune. The LP units, I don't think that's ever going to be the case if we go to a POL model, unless there's just some nuance that I'm not understanding. I think it's just going to be a pure Rune play. I suppose you could tinker with bonding real exogenous assets, but I honestly don't. That really kind of breaks my brain just think about in the moment. But yeah, Maya protocol, you can bond your Cacao, which is their version of Rune, and then also the LP units. Some people said that it's kind of like double dipping, but I don't know. It seems to work. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure, but I think it works.
They're all very advanced financial systems that are built in a permissionless way, where if something doesn't work out, you can't just say, don't do that. You got to be able, it's happening until you push a code base change, right? So, I understand, the challenge in all this. Now, so basically, if you wanted to get a pool started, then you do kind of need the treasury or some kind of a thing to acquire some. Let's just say you wanted to launch a new coin like Dash. You'd get some Dash somewhere just to put some in the pool, and once you have the pool going, then it can be then the protocol owned liquidity thing could be automated, right? Because then it just, you put money in and it automatically ARPs it out, right? So that's kind of how it works. Like it's automated as part of the protocol after you have an intentional seed, where the actual treasury people have to like sign a transaction, make it move. Of course, it's still with the permission of the validators, etc. But it's more of a manual thing to get a pool started.
And this has got me really excited, Joel, because let's just wave a magic wand. Dash goes live today, right? Let's say you deposit some Dash. You're the one that sees the pool. Just hypothetically, whatever, doesn't matter, right? You still have custody of those assets, okay? Now, there's impermanent loss and all that stuff, but what I really love about POL, it's so powerful, is if Dash is getting all this volume on ThorChain, the POL is going to be directed to that liquidity pool and deepen it, okay? And so you could get to a point where the POL side is so deep that it can be much more higher percentage than the initial deposit. And then you, as the initial seeder, could then withdraw that liquidity. Of course, there's going to be some permanent loss because there's no yield going to the pools directly, only to the POL. But you can then withdraw it. It's not like you go to a centralized exchange and you literally have to give them a percentage of your token or money or whatever. Like, none of that's going on, right? So yeah, we just need an initial seed, usually like between 50 to 100 grand. That's some decent depth for some decent volume. It can be less than that. 10,000 rune is the minimum. So whatever that is. So right now it's about what, $4,000 or $5,000 in depth. So, but yeah, and you can get amazing price execution on ThorChain with very shallow liquidity. It's really crazy what you can do, especially with rapid swaps.
So I wonder what'll happen with Maya long term. I mean, obviously this immediate bug is going to get fixed. Obviously, there will be some growth things we're going to talk about to kind of get money back in the system. But I wonder if like the LP attack surface, if it's even an attack surface, or it just happened to be a bug that was in something that wasn't in the other, but maybe there's a protocol liquidity bug that again, let's fingers crossed, but that happens to ThorChain and won't happen to Maya because that isn't a thing. So yeah, it's just interesting to think about how that's gonna turn out. But
as I said, it's intimidating, man. It's intimidating. AI is really something else. I mean, it's just like complex variables. Like as a human, like, okay, let's make something up. Let's say like you have a silver market and like a housing market, and like you were going to put it on a graph, like what's going to perform better over the next 5 or 10 years. And then if you just break those two ideas down, like silver, the technological revolution, more technology, there's going to be more need for these metals, right? They're using electronics. The deflationary or inflation of currency. But what if in Mexico they find a brand new silver mine and it's just absolutely huge, and that could tank, right? And then housing market, immigration policy, also the inflation stuff as well. The cost of housing materials, your individual location. Like, that's just two ideas, and like the interplay and all the variables, like you have to think about like which one's going to perform better. You could figure it out as a human if you thought about thinking about it, but AI took 6 different variables of extreme complexity, and it's not like AI has intuition. Like, that's just brute force. Like, it brute force that shit. That scares me half to death. Like, that's godlike, man.
How much do we know that that's what happened? We just know it got exploited, but do we know how the exploit happened? Like, who actually discovered it and did it?
I don't know. I don't know if they know what AI model did it. AI models.
We're also assuming it was an AI model, which I think is a decent assumption, but it's still an assumption.
It's a decent assumption. Well, yeah, because the one thing that AI is really good is concatenation of issues. At least it's what Chad Barraford talked to me. A lot of the things I repeat are things that people have told me. I'm not an expert in cryptography or AI at all, guys.
Well, but people think AI is smart, and that's all AI does is just repeat stuff that's in their data sets. So like, don't be so hard on yourself for like repeating the things. Like if I ask Grok what happened, it'll tell me the same thing, and it will know less about what happened than you do. Yeah. It'll just be like, oh, well, Chad said this, and the doc said that, and here you go.
Yeah. The thing too is, like I said earlier, like 2 different auditing firms, 4 years of live production. This code has been around, and finally, it just took. And again, I'm assuming it's an AI model of extreme brute force capability, and it figured it out. It's scary, and that's why we have, and for people who know, like my protocol on Thorchain, we have LLMs running 24/7, different models all the time, because we're scared shitless. There's so much attack surface, so we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think what we're really seeing with this is the attack surface is uniquely brutal with cross-chain dexes. This is like the match made in hell for like the current security things that are hitting. So first of all, on security audits, I interviewed the out of our labs team, or Sebi Benescu of the team, a couple weeks ago. They're a professional security auditor team, and I was having a work call with them about like seeing, are we going to do an audit or something like that, and then we happened to talk about AI auditing and stuff. And when he started getting into it, I'm like, wait, hold that thought. I need to get you on my podcast and talk about it. So essentially, what they're saying is, well, first of all the major security auditing firms are using AI, but they're using, obviously, human-directed with human sets of eyes. They're maybe cutting down costs and making things more efficient, but you can't just vibe code security audits kind of thing. It doesn't work. You need to have professional auditors doing it.
Yes.
Developers can do a lot of it, but sometimes like the thinking of how this works, you kind of need something professional. And one thing he said about, it's like a needle in a haystack kind of a thing to find exploits. And like, let's just say there's 100 exploits in your code base. If you catch 8 out of 10 of them, you, as an auditor, if you get 9 out of 10 of them, you still lose. Whereas if you're an exploiter, you get 1 out of 10 of them, you win everything. So this asymmetry is brutal, and what makes it worse is like, if you have a code base and there's an exploit, someone does bad things, you can patch that exploit and roll back whatever happened. If you have a cross-chain DEX, you have several chains and dependencies, so you can fix it, but you can't roll back the sent Bitcoin out or whatever. And if you have permissionless assets, which is the point of a lot of these DEXs, then it's really kind of out of your hands. So it's kind of a little bit of a nightmare scenario right now. I think things will get better over time, but like right now we're in a little bit of the doo-doo zone. Can't roll back this. I also muted myself to sneeze. Hey everyone. If you're still watching, hopefully everything's good. I had a little bit of a glitch, so let's hope everything's still working. Or did it terminate? So it says it's still streaming on. Says it's still streaming on X, so I guess we're gonna roll with the fact that it's still on X. So we'll do the YouTube part later. In the meantime, I'm just gonna filibuster on this stuff until Denny gets back. But in the meantime, so these exploits get pretty gnarly at this point, and I think that what we're gonna have to do is just realize that we can have issues, and just deal with that. And that's something I want to talk about, the insurance angle, because that's going to be an interesting one. Because I do believe that there is just an inherent difficulty with this that you can't really solve without waiting for sort of the storm to be over, right? And so, yeah, I think that what do we do with other things that aren't fully known to us in like risk profiles that we don't fully know in other areas of life? We do insurance. Like, what happens if you die and you can't do income for your family anymore? Insurance. What happens if you have a natural disaster and it wipes out your house? Insurance. What happens if you have a natural LLM disaster and it wipes out your your protocol? Insurance. I think I hear you type in there. Would you
Yeah,
mind?
and I can't get my camera working, my friend. So I'm
No.
not sure. Yeah, I don't know what
People are
happened
going to
there.
revolt if they can't see your face.
I agree. Let me leave and try again. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway, I think that insurance is kind of the way. Let me I'm seeing myself twice here, so let me just hit there. I think that insurance is the way this thing's going to have to go. I think that what you're going to have to do is have professional auditing firms, etc., and other code-based things look into this and be like, oh, okay, this is how audited the code base is. This is how it works. We don't see issues. They've taken every measure that they can here. However, so with that being said, we will charge them this amount of money to audit. To insure the code base. And once that's done, once they charge that much to do that, then you pay wrecked insurance. You just pay it on an ongoing basis until eventually, and you're covered in this time. So that's the real thing is with these cross-chain dexes, the problem isn't, there's a code base exploit. You get to like exploit it here and there, right? The problem is you lose money permanently when that happens. It's not, sorry, we had downtime, things went funky, it's all back now. It's like, nope, bunch of other blockchain money went out the window. So that's the unfortunate reality of it. I don't know how. I'm going to, of course, mention Denny a little bit more about this stuff, but I'm pretty sure that insurance is going to be the way this thing has to go. I've not heard anyone mention this as far as there's something actually happening around this. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. The thing about it is, obviously, insurance companies are cool, but I think it might be like a insurer DAO might be interesting. So, hello, my man. I see you. Everything's back.
Very weird. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Something happened before.
Also,
I did have
I think I experienced an issue as well because I had to kill my VPN real quick, and then the YouTube stream is just not going right now for some reason. But we're live on X. Usually it's the opposite, so I guess X got their shit together. We're still going, so that's good. I filibustered a little bit talking about this stuff.
I filibustered too, but I was talking to nobody. I wasn't sure.
Listen, that's called consult your therapist. Okay, you filibuster for nobody. No, but the funny thing is, I was talking about insurance because here's the thing: I think the landscape of code exploit stuff is always going to be this way now, where I do think that the number of exploits you have will start to go dramatically down later in the year once we have I would say later in the year, but it could be over a few years, as we have multiple LLMs that everyone can access and everyone can kind of do it. The big thing is, like, I think we're going to have to start seeing a lot of closed, like you mentioned, open versus closed source. I think that protocols need to be fully open source if they are public. But before a new update is released or whatever, there could be like a testnet period or whatever,
Right.
where you throw everything at it I mean, this is what happens in the real world with auditing anyway, but like,
Right.
it's very well understood because the AI stuff is, the problem is it's new and inconsistent. It's not that it's powerful. Of course, powerful, right? But it's that it's new, so no one knows the pathways, and it's inconsistent where you literally will throw Claude Mythos at the thing, give the prompt 5 identical prompts, and every time you'll get a slightly different result. Every time it runs, it'll find something different. And so there might be, I'm sure there's got to be a formula where you're like, okay, these are the Venn diagram of frontier models that you run that all are really good at this, but all a little different. Here are the 5 prompt variations that will get you in this exact security audit path. And here are the number of iterations per exact prompt that you give in order before you can be satisfied you've reasonably exhausted the variance. And then there's just this whole thing, and you just literally hit a button and it just goes and just starts going after everything. Maybe this is that, that's this, and then you get a very reasonable audit that the whole thing is done. I think that's how it'll go. Probably is going that way right now. What do you think?
Well, this is what I was filibustering. I was saying the same thing you were. The question, I actually had a question for you on this because I hear all that for sure. And, I've always been open source. That's been my firm belief, right? And the logic is if you're open source, there's more eyes looking at the code. And, generally speaking, it results in a more secure protocol rather than having it gated and, you're not having it all constantly audited and tested. The thing with AI that just kind of breaks the mold for me, and I've asked this publicly on X before, and Alan from Quai Network, someone who I deeply respect, very smart man, he's still fully in the open source mindset. But I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm getting a little shaky on it because, like you said earlier, Joel, you've got blue team and red team. Blue team has to find 10 out of 10 issues. Red team has to find 1 out of 10 issues, right? And because it's so inconsistent with all these new AI models, you have these brand new things that have, it's like there's an exponential growth curve of capability here, where if red team gets access to a bad model, or a good model before you do, that's far more capable, then the idea of open source, where you have a huge plurality of the population of people in blockchain who can code source, that kind of feel like goes out of the window a little bit because this is a brand new capability that's never existed before. It's just so, and so to me, it's like, do you have a delay? Do you have partial, mostly open source, but like you have new code and then you keep that code source maybe like for a quarter of a year and then it goes live, and all the while you throw every sophisticated model you can at it because it feels like the benchmarks for these models are increasing at such a rapid rate that every few months we get a whole new like layer of capability. So I got to admit, I'm getting a little shaky on it. I'm not saying Thorchain's, I'm not Thorchain, you guys. I'm not a node operator or nothing, but I think, like, does it make sense during this specific time period, during the exponential increase of AI, do you have a little gate on it where you can just give some more time to be able to access as many miles far before you release it to everyone? I don't know. What do you think, man?
First of all, obviously open source maximalist for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
The thing about it is it cuts both ways as far as like
it does.
Attacker versus auditor. And I think on the aggregate, when you put something out in the public, people looking at the code base are going to be overwhelmingly more positive than negative. They'll be overwhelming, if anyone cares about your project at least. So like with Thorchain, I bet there's going to be more computing power going after finding the exploits to report them, like white hat than black hat, than people trying to exploit it. And so I think if you don't have that exposure, like obviously you run your own audits and everything internally before releasing the code or before publishing the code, maybe it just means longer testnet periods because testnet is also open source, and you just have it out there, have the code open but not have real funds at risk longer. The thing is, this was always Thorchain had issues and got hacked and things like that far before AI came out. Like things just happened. You can't defend against that. I think we're at this weird point where like code bases have been either hand coded or vibe coded, but have not been audited, not been vibe audited, as it were, have not been AI audited enough compared to this stuff. And I think that because the world's just not, the world's not going to not do these things. And the world, we're having this like season, the new stuff came out. Like, I mean, sure, like, do you remember when there was like school shooting season in the US? There was like a few years after like Columbine and all that, when stuff started to get really crazy in a lot of places. And that seems to have died down dramatically. I think, I don't know if it's mental health things. I don't know if it's, I mean, gun rights have gone in a completely different way. I don't know. There's a lot of factors, but it's that thing got taken on the chin kind of and is on its way out, I think. Kind of like horrible diseases happen too. Kind of like there's stuff that happens. Like I think that it's going to be like another thing, like the OnlyFans craze. Remember when that hit during the uncertain times, and everyone and their sister was kind of seemed to be doing something, and now it's like it does happen still, but it does seem like less of a pestilence upon the land where like everyone is like trying to get in on this thing. Like there's so many examples of things that come and go. I think that the world will adjust to this. The problem with closed source is you hide the source from the world. And when it comes out, it's inherently a weaker code base that's going to be picked apart. I think a lot of people who didn't have open source things, like, for example, the biggest thing you've seen hit lately has been the hardware wallet supplier lists, where that's not open source at all. But you can probe around, and without all these people being like, hey, your lists are insecure, then they just get hacked and it gets taken away. It's one of those things where, like, I think you just have to deal with it. And that's what I was talking about was insurance, right? Think about, there are, for whatever reason in the world, there's a lot of environmental factors which cause 99% or something like that of the tornadoes in the entire planet to happen in a very specific alley in the U.S. It's just a very American phenomenon. These are not great places either, in my opinion, but there's people that live there for some reason. Like, listen, if I needed to deal with a tornado risk to live in New Hampshire, I would. But if I need to do that to live in Kansas, I wouldn't do. What the hell are you doing there? Just get out.
Yeah.
But the point is, you can't deal with a tornado. You can't protect your house against a tornado. It can take out your house. You just can't stop it. But what you can do is get insurance. So this is where I think you'll have to have for a bridge or a cross-chain DEX or any kind of thing where you're holding exogenous funds. I think what you're going to have to do is get the auditing figured out and tightened, and then pay into like insurance DAO or something, where basically what they'll do, either a company or a DAO or something, will look over your code base themselves, do their own audit maybe, or at least do an audit of your audits. Be like, which audits have you had? What did you run? What did you whatever? And then just be like, all right, we can't see anything risky in here. We're going to insure you, and the if you just have like a 1 of 1 toothpick, like with the what was the layer 0 hack thing, if you have that, you're not going to be insurable, because people are going to look through and be like, well, what, are we a joke to you? What the hell is this? But if you have like really tight security, like let's assume the Bitcoin like code base, the main Bitcoin code base, right? Not these side things. I would say that would be cheaper to insure relative to the amount of money, but also because you can roll back things. But like for a cross-chain DEX, like once, I'm sure it'll be a premium, but you might pay like, I don't know, like, would you rather pay, like, let's just say 5% of revenue every single month for auditor, for hack insurance, and you get a little bit less competitive with the pricing maybe, because you have to pay these fees, or like the yield is not as great because of 5%, but then you get hacked for 10 million and you get 10 million and you're good. I'm like, I think that's the way it's going to have to go. And then eventually, if you just not hacked for like 10 years, you're like, let me shop around for a cheaper insurance option or whatever. And it just, I think that's the way it'll have to go. Because otherwise, you have to like ban things or do things completely different. But if you live in a environment that has risk that you can't control for, and a real financial loss from the risk, you either have to have enough protocol owned liquidity or money in a treasury somewhere where you can pay for a
Yeah.
hack yourself, or you have to pay insurance for it. And I think that's literally the way it's going to have to go.
There was some talk of an idea called cold vaults, where like a decentralized group, there's like a separate vault of funds that will be outside of like an exploit vector of Thorchain. That could be an important redundancy. I don't really have it all fully understood yet. That's also a possible thing we've talked about. It's hard because like it's like a decentralized protocol, and it's like who pays for it. Yeah, you could do like a percentage of total like revenue that would go, I guess, to this team. Like actually a lot to think about. I'm not sure. You've kind of opened a can of worms in my brain. But like the thing I would just tell people is that this is like Thorchain's so unbelievably complex. Like I think we're approaching 1 million lines of code. Like we're getting there, and it's just like crossing so unbelievably hard. And we started in 2021 main ChaosNet, and that's when we got hacked the first time. And that was actually the intention. We invited people to exploit.
Yes.
It hurt a lot worse than we thought it would. We definitely were humbled when that happened, but we learned a lot, and we've been doing pretty good since. But like the recent cryptography attack, like we started with GG18, then we upgraded to GG20. And they have better cryptographies, but like the hard thing, people wondering was like, why don't you just switch your cryptography? Well, there's something up until very recently, something called operational aborts. And so without operational aborts, a node could join Thorchain and cause issues with churn, I think even consensus failures. And without operational aborts, you wouldn't be able to tell who was causing it. That's a non-starter. So you can have one node that just go in the network and just torpedo the whole thing, right? Like one thing I just tell people is it's not, if you have a simple idea in your head of how Thorchain gets better.
A random thing because I'm on X looking at
Go ahead.
stuff. Sebastian Benescu from Out of Our Labs, who I interviewed, I just talked about, just liked this show. So hopefully he's watching. Hi, Sebi, if you're watching, we give you a shout out. Shout out to Out of Our Labs. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. I timed that poorly right in the middle of the sip. I do feel a responsibility when I say, so what do you think about this? You get your mouth full of something, I have to filibuster until you're done. Otherwise, I'm a dick. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was pretty close to done. I mean, it's just like the people watching is like Thorchain is to do real layer 1 permissionless non-KYC swaps, not wrapped assets. We're not an intermediary layer. Like each node runs an actual daemon of the layer 1. This is layer 1 for layer 1. It is so unbelievably complex. We've been just carving a path through the jungle ever since we started in 2021. We're not going to stop. But I just hope, like, if people hear this, like, you understand, like, what we're trying to accomplish here. And we're definitely determined. Like, my protocol, they're like, they don't quit, right? Like, they're going to dust themselves off. They're going to patch it, and we're going to keep going. If anyone wants to like get involved, like if you have criticism for Thorchain, like I get it, but it'd be much more helpful if you tried to give solutions, because we are building economic doctrine in real time. Like we're inventing new economic doctrine, and it has been so wildly complex beyond my imagining how hard this issue is to solve. But yeah, that's all I can say. Get involved if you want to help, guys, because it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where our great mutual friend, your future girlfriend, Tevano, where we end up finding disagreements on this thing, where she points out a lot of criticisms of Thorchain, and a lot of times when she says those things, she goes a little nuts publicly. When you dig into it, she's citing all real things that happened and all real concerns. I'm like, fair point on that, but the conclusion is radically different. The conclusion is, screw those guys, because people involved in the project have done maybe not the wisest things in the past, or done some scummy things, and therefore screw those guys. And so what I say is, first of all, I know enough of those guys to know that they're working on great stuff, and I want them to keep working on great stuff. But more importantly, no one else is, as JP likes to say, in the arena. No one else is doing this. No one else is doing like an actual at-scale cross-chain DEX that is censorship resistant, other than the Thorchads and the Mayans. Those are the two people doing it right now. And I really have to dig into the inner workings of Near Intents more than I already have. I would say that they're on the path of trying to do that, but they reached they didn't launch with a 100% permissionless solution. They launched with maybe an 80 or 90% or something, like right out the gate, and are, it's still like, let's wait and see if they get all the way. So, but like right now, it's like, cool. As soon as they do that, I'll trumpet them too. You can say, screw the Thor Chads because Nier's doing the same thing, but they're not screwing up as much. But right now, who's doing it? Like, I have to support who's doing the freedom stuff. It's like some people are like, well, New Hampshire sucks because of this and that, and I don't like this thing that they have. And I'm like, freest state in the union, and therefore the world, baby. Like, until that's not the case anymore, you can't talk shit. Like, someone's like, this is our best shot. Thorchain Maya is our best shot.
Yeah.
And if there's a better shot, tell me about it. And that's the thing where it always sort of breaks down. Is like, well, there just isn't. This is where all the people are working at it, is right here.
That's perfectly said. Like, I want people to know, like, if, let's just make up a protocol name, like SuperDex comes out tomorrow, and permissionless, non-KYC, decentralized, and their implementation's better, their logic's better, and they crush us. They crush Near protocol, but the world is free. I win. I don't care. What I've experienced in government, I know you've been involved in government too, it scares the hell out of me. I'm in it for my own personal sovereignty. That is my main mission, I swear. And the thing that people have to remember is, like, Thorchain carved this path through the jungle, and a lot of people followed the path that we carved, but they got to not make the same mistakes we did. And the thing that's really cool about Thorchain is, like, when it builds a community, it takes years. Like, it takes years and years and years of all of these hardships and all of these issues that we had to solve and figure out. And now we really truly have, like, a super incredible group of individuals. Like, if you haven't liked someone in Thorchain from the past, chances are they're not with the protocol anymore. We pretty much have a wonderful group of individuals that are just totally freedom oriented and are going to, like, have XMR go live soon, right? Like, no one else is doing that. Real non-KYC permissionless XMR is coming to Thorchain. It's coming very soon. So, and again, Thorchain is pushing the envelope. A lot of people purposely have said they will not touch that. Their Zcash is available on my protocol. That was the first. I think that might be the first ever non-KYC access to privacy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but I thought that was a huge milestone. And now that they can do, like, what's it called? Where the Zcash is obfuscated, it's private Zcash, right? They support that as well.
Shielded deposits.
Shielded. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word shielded. Sorry about that. But XMR is coming. XMR is like the thing. I don't know why. There's other pirate chain. There's all cool other protocols that are
that's
similar.
Where there's high demand and low supply for
100%
for swapping roots for that.
And privacy is a human right, just straight up. So Thorchain's doing this thing, and just fair warning, it's gonna be a soft launch, guys. We've tested the hell out of it. Whenever we release a chain client, every single time there's always these quirks and bugs and idiosyncrasies and that you have to work out. So maybe it'll pause a few hours after going live. That's okay. We'll figure out what it is. We'll work it.
We're gonna get a few ungracious posts from Kayaba Nerve. Shout out Luke Parker. Hi. If that happens, but it'll be fine. I'm a big fan of Sarai when that launches too.
Here's the thing, like, and if I want to shout out Luke Parker because he did open sources Frost TSS that did enable us to have XMR because of Luke Parker and a few other individuals. Thorchain is coming to is going to get XMR. But the thing, Luke Parker does throw a lot of shade, and it's unfortunate because I had support in the past. But the thing that I remind people is Sarai Dex. I want Sarai Dex to come online, but it's not a protocol yet. Okay, it's not a protocol yet. Like, you're not in the ring, like you said earlier, and that is so different. Okay, like, you have to be in the ring to understand. And so, like, when we get hit on cryptography or whatever, like, this is complex. It's hard. So I hope Sarai goes live soon. I thought it was going to go live in 2023. And Luke Parker is a brilliant engineer, but, like, until, like, the protocol gets going and you beat us straight up and like, then, okay, I'm like, okay, like, you deserve all the flowers. Like, we suck. You're great. That's fine. But until you're a functioning protocol dealing in this AI environment, like, please keep the criticism to a minimum. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to respect.
That's unfortunately, first of all, that's just his priorities and what he's focused on. He believes very sternly about the way things are done. That makes him a great developer. And do we
He's brilliant.
Do we not
He's
like the
brilliant.
public
Yeah.
statements? Maybe we don't, but that we don't give a crap. The thing is about,
It is what it is.
yeah, I mean, he's doing his thing and he's doing a fantastic job. Let him keep doing what he's great at, which is cranking out code. So
Yeah.
the crypto world is way too much of a soon and coming, and like everything is hypothetical, and like I have used so much crypto over the years. I've used everything under the sun. And then eventually, like, I remember I used Zcash when I was paid mostly in Zcash in like 2022 because I did some work for the foundation, some other stuff. I did a podcast on this channel. And, the space age privacy tech, the best in the world, it just works. And then I couldn't find anything to spend it on. It was just so difficult to find anything to spend it on. That's gotten significantly better now. But then in terms of like compare it with something like Dash, you can live fully unbanked off of Dash. I'm living proof. And it's not that hard. Whereas if you try to do it with Zcash today, Zcash is pioneering the tech that now Dash uses. But as far as the implementation, you can do a few things. But you can't like dump your bank account feasibly the same way. It's not nearly the same. And same thing with like Monero. A lot of like the, full chain membership proofs coming soon. Like fantastic, and I'm glad it's happening. But until it happens, it doesn't exist yet. And until unless you don't get exploited to shit, like it's the way it is. And I will say like give the Mayans a little bit more shine. First of all, like Thorchain's had its alignment ups and downs. It's gone through people involved with it. It's gone through some of this stuff. Maya's not. Maya's been rock solid without stay on. And so like the vision, for example, so like Dash is the oldest cryptocurrency still functioning with explicitly built privacy features. So the oldest privacy coin is very fair to say. Now, it was Dash, Monero, and Zcash, Decred, some of the other ones that were discussed for Thorchain, and then whenever Nine Realms decided to take things a different direction, that's when you went to Maya. So the Mayans implemented their very first new chain was Dash, was again the oldest privacy coin there, and then so they were the first ones to do this, right, by a mile. And then Near Intense came like this year, was very happy for that too. But then there is a post for like a couple of years ago or something where in the Zcash forums, where I just say, look, I'm working full-time for Dash right now, so it's none of my business what a competitor does. But please, you guys got to get on Maya. You got to get on some cross-chain DEX. This is the way to do it. And so they did, and then around the same time got on Near Intense, which I didn't even hear about Near Intense until Zcash got on there. But the point is, like, they got the Mayans came to the table and did that. I was also pushing for years, 2.5 years at least, to get Zcash on Maya because I understand that thing. And Monero has its unique sets of technical and social considerations that make it more difficult to integrate than some of these others. But I think it was last year in Vegas, I talked to, I forget who it was. It wasn't familiar. Who was there's another Thor chat. I don't remember which one it was, but I would talk to him and Alux and said for both of them, I'm like, you should add Monero because there's so much pent up demand in capital. And they were a little more, both of them, a little more like, I don't know, man, at the time. And now it seems like it's changed where it's just like, all right, well, this makes sense. But it does make sense. Again, you don't need to trust me, but you can just look at my record that I've constantly been advocating for the things we need, even if it's not in my own self-interest. And I've also been advocating early. I've also been years before anyone else been like, this needs to happen. We need this. So this is why everyone watches this. So thanks for watching, by the way, because you want the alpha. This is the digital alpha rundown.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, you always have the alpha, brother. And yeah, I totally agree with that. When I talk to like Sarai, I've been in Discord, like just cheering them on because, at that point, because we tried to add XMR in Thorchain in the past, and there's just this obfuscation layer we couldn't figure out because Thorchain, it has to be broadcasted, right? Like it's on-chain solvency, and so I wanted XMR to be live, just to be available. And then I thought, okay, well, Dex aggregate with Sarai, and that'll be really cool at Bitcoin to XMR swaps from Thor. That's what I was thinking back in. It's just really complicated. You mentioned Tavano earlier, and actually, I haven't watched her feed too much, but she did say something really cool that I liked, and she was pointing out that these freezes on USDT. She was highlighting like how unfair it was, right? And that a lot of innocent people were getting hurt. And I know she has reservations about Thorchain. I understand that. And I think she just really misunderstands what we're trying to do here. But I will give her credit in that I thought it was awesome how she was calling it out. And I think she said something to the fact, I don't want to misquote her, but she's coming along with the line that, permissionless is she has to give it a head nod. Like, that's really unfair for people just to get lumped in so unfair to get all their assets frozen. Like, we can't exist this way. And I did like that from her.
Yeah, and the thing that I think that she has a different side of the freedom coin that she cares more about, but it's the same thing, which is freedom. In a free society, in a free world, you have personal responsibility. And where it seems like stuff starts being hit on more is the personal actions of people that have been irresponsible in her view, but also if people have agency to do things like stop a thief from moving funds, she thinks there's personal responsibility to do something about that. If you can, do it. If it's permissionless, you can't, but if it's semi-permission, And so she was ragging on USDC because USDC was waiting for a court order to do anything. And I think that's in its own way a noble stance. Maybe she's got a point, though, that if it's centralized enough, you should stop the bad guys. Whereas Tether does that, but then Tether also goes beyond that, and it's just like, we're censoring everyone up in here, we don't care. And it's like, well, that's the old financial system again on the new rails, so I don't care for that anymore. I think what we're going to have to do is, I think where we have a unique system where insurance on hacks and exploits and stuff gets more baked in. Security gets more figured out, and also the pathways of finding thieves and tracking them down and stopping them becomes more figured out. I think that then there won't be so much about Tay swearing at Thorchads anymore. I think it'll just be like, all right, everything's working fine.
Yeah, and first off, I want to be 100% clear. I freaking hate criminals. I hate the DPRK. The governments are the biggest criminals of them all, and they've hurt so many people throughout history and currently. I mean, you can see we're $40 trillion in debt. Congratulations, America! Woohoo! 40 trillion, baby. Let's win 50 trillion.
New all-time high.
Yeah, new all-time high. Which of course is a tax as you're losing purchasing power that you can't consent to. But anyway, I could get on a rant. I won't do it. The thing with Thorchain, guys, it is permissionless because it's not about Thorchain complying or not complying. It is designed in a way where it simply cannot. And if you have exploited funds that live on a layer 1, if Thorchain pauses, it freezes, it's dead. Thorchain exists on swap volume. It exists in revenue. Running daemons costs infrastructure. It costs monthly upkeep. Okay. Thorchain simply cannot pause. And this is not, what I'm about to say is not at all secret information. There's no filter in the world that works. If you go like 3 hops, the obfuscation is too much that nothing can keep up. I mean, there's just no way to do it in the way of Thorchain's architecture. And so it is truly just decentralized and permissionless, right? And it is better to have freedom. That will fix these problem of criminality longer term. So just is what it is.
Yeah, it's another thing I was thinking about from the insurance angle, of course. There's a company that is a portfolio member of the Dash Investment Foundation called 88i. It's a Brazilian company, and they deal with microinsurance. And part of microinsurance is what happens if you take like an Uber ride and you want to be insured for whatever happens during that ride for the duration of the ride. I mean, you pay like a fraction of like a few cents, and then you get covered for like the 20-minute ride, and you're good. And a lot of this will hopefully run on Dash's architecture, by the way, but that's a separate conversation.
Interesting.
The point is microinsurance. I think about who is harmed when you have these things. I mean, the protocols, but protocols are a little bit amorphous, and it's kind of like a business. Like if the business gets wrecked, it's on the business to figure it out. Like, but it's when you have everyday people being harmed. That's the thing that we don't like, especially when they're like, oh, the Thorify people got screwed or whatever. Like that's the heartstrings, right? Like the deserved heartstrings, I should say. But so what if front ends could bake in a swap insurance where now you check a box on like Metro.exchange or one of like the main ThorChain things like that, and then you pay like a couple bips on your swap to have it insured, like as long as like everything is like the whole swap is like figured out to where just runs a check, everything looks in order, this should be a very low risk, but here's like a couple bips you pay on top of that to have your swap insured, to where if you're trying to swap and then the network goes like gets exploded and like whatever your money that you put in there never comes out, you get insured and it gets paid out, and you get the micro insurance on just that. It could also be because like if you were an LPer, for example, if you provide liquidity or you stake or whatever, that's a little bit bigger than a micro. That's just proper insurance at that point. But like micro insurance for transactions and payments and stuff, I think is, it's a way to go.
I like that idea. Yeah, I'm wondering, that'd be a third party. I'm wondering the computational burden on the network. I don't think it will. I mean, if it's just a simple API endpoint, right? Like,
yeah, I think it would probably be done at the front end level where the interface has a provider, and then they just only allow you to submit transaction memos in a certain condition.
And that would be a competitive advantage for the interface, right? Yeah, it would have to be do at the interface level, not the protocol level, of course. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So and some of it is like you could also add like freeze insurance, because some of these things, like it's funny, like people keep complaining about near freezing things, like near intents, they took someone's money or whatever, and every time I've looked at it, obviously I value a fully censorship resistant protocol more, but that being said, every time I look at it is literally some like thief, some literal thief who's like trying to swap stuff. They're like, I see what you're doing here. Like someone stole a bunch of stuff, wanted to swap from something to Bitcoins, so then they wanted to like do Bitcoin to Monero somewhere, whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, but I think the thing is, these are challenges that have solutions is the point. It's not like, oh my gosh, we're getting hacked, what can we do? Like, no, we can fix this. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And this is one of those things that I admire about ThorChain, but especially the Mayans, is hits come and things keep moving.
Yeah.
The thing that did not, and I would blame, I give a lot of credit to Alux of my protocol for that, because I feel like there was mistakes or exploits in ThorChain's history, but the Thorify incident was like you should have known. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but it was like you should have known better. At the same time as the response was bungled, I would say. And Alux kind of I think that if he hadn't stepped in, ThorChain might have died out, right?
Might have, yeah. 100%.
And so, but he came in with this, we're going to get past it, this leadership of like, here's what we're going to do. We got a plan. We got this. Everyone's going to be whole. We're just going to keep going. And for a small protocol to lose like 1.7 million or something like that is brutal for the Maya protocol. But the fact is just like, hi guys, sorry, no way to sugarcoat this, but we lost 1.7 million. We're going to be back and stronger. Stay tuned. In the meantime, we'll resume swaps. Like, just like a footnote. Like, oh, guess what? We lost a hell of a lot of money here. This sucks. We got hacked. Oh my God. But it's just like, hi, just the facts. This sucks. We're going to be fine. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could just like, I don't know, like lose a immediate family member and be like, hi guys, sorry, I'm going to take the weekend off, the next week off because my whole family got killed in a car crash. It sucks. It happens. I'll be back on Monday. And you're just like back on Monday. I'm like, yo.
We're digging the grave now. We're lowering him in. No worries, guys. We're gonna get this show rolling here.
Yes, and that's what like
Audio.
what leadership
On the
looks
leg.
like. And like I have to
Yes.
say, like Thorchain had some chaos in the early days where
Yes.
it was like Chad and JP started it, and then JP took off or did whatever. He's always been, no offense to the man, but he's not stable, not consistent. He's had stuff going up and down. Chad took off for a while, and so there was the JP chaos, but also not the Chad presence during
Right.
the Thorfi exploit. There was no leadership, and even decentralized projects need some kind of leadership. Doesn't mean you have to have an anointed person at the top, but someone has to be stepping up and managing things at some point. And so Alex, not a Thor Chad, I mean kind of, but like at the time, stepped up and made this happen. And so there is that leadership, the showing the way. Like if you can count Thorchain, the Maya protocol, who's gotten wrecked more and who's like still there. That's the thing that's like, if you like use, like I understand if you're providing liquidity as a third party LP, you might be like skittish at this point, of course. But if you, let's just say you own TCY and you're getting part of the protocol revenue in, or you're a user of Thorchain, you're your business that builds around it, you know they're going to be back. You know it's just going to keep chugging along. Thorchain and Maya are going to keep chugging along, and we lost another bunch of money. Who cares? We can keep moving. It's like doesn't seem to like cause permanent damage. It's the comeback kid.
Yeah, and for those, you totally said it perfectly, man. And Alex, for those who don't know, I'll repeat, he is in the leadership position of Thorchain. He has ascended because of his leadership, especially during Thorfi. I mean, he now, the GG20 attack that Thorchain experienced 3 months ago, like he is his team. He is the leadership now, and we've gotten past that. And now my protocol has encountered this terrible thing, and they're getting past that. I mean, that's what veterancy looks like. I mean, we've taken so many arrows that we are just a really hardened group of individuals now, where it's, you have inputs, negative inputs, right? Like, ouch, this really terrible event happened. And we've just got this maturity in our community, like, where we just choose the output. Like, okay, that really sucks, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to figure it out, A, B, C, get through it, right? And the reason why that is, and I hope this doesn't sound cliche to your audience, but like, there is a true, undeniable mission that both Thorchain and my protocol are on, and that is the ethos itself, the original ethos of blockchain, the initial white paper of Satoshi, right? Permissionless, non-KYC stuff, like that's real, and we're very passionate about it, and we really believe in it, and it's just so like failure is not an option insofar as there is just not like this nightmare apocalyptic thing that happens both the Thorchain or Maya protocol, where you lose everything and there's this zero chance. Like outside of that, I hope that does not happen. We're going to keep going. There is just no stop here, right? Because the mission is too important. We have friends, we have families, we think about ourselves. Like, we need to build the vision that you often talk about, man, where you just got to have economics fully taken away from, government. It's been ruinous since of all of time, right? And, we're having the app layer now. We've learned from Thorfi mistakes. The app layer right here, Rajira, my hat. They're building really wonderful things that does not leverage the protocol in the same way before, because when Thorfi happened, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but we didn't know what we were doing. Like, we have a mission, we have an asset called Rune. How do we use Rune to build a thing? And it didn't work, but we have a whole different app layer that's separated that makes so much more sense now. Like, there's iterations of this where, yes, we get kicked in the nuts really hard, but, we wobble to our feet holding our balls like, okay, not do that again. Let's do this.
Yeah,
it's
like the Wolverine from the X-Men. You keep beating him up, he just comes back. Just can't keep him down. Well, so that's a good segue into the whole Aztec stuff. So
let's do it.
First of all, Alex has been talking about this super secret project for a long time, and then some people have heard about it, and he always just says, "Oh, you should have asked to be a Narrowtopia about it." I'm like, I was there, but you're like, "Oh, I'm not feeling good. I gotta leave," and he just leaves. Like, I'm like, I wanted to anyway, but it's finally the cat's out of the bag. So let me hit up this post. He says, "Seems we'll accelerate the launch of the Aztec chain, the next generation of omni-chain DeFi platform, building on the learnings and giving back to the Maya Protocol, Thorchain, and Ruggiera. Of course, with consideration to Aztec validators and Aztec holders. If you're interested in helping the good guys, reach out to invest. A share of the raised funds will go back to the Maya pools to recover the exploit. They were for 8+ months to fork and extend Near, and more recently worked on the precompiled Ruggiera DeFi primitives and dynamic order books, confidential swaps, OmniBridge, and reverse engineered message and bus and one-click API, which is what Near Intents uses to route. It's all here. We are then layering a smart contract layer on top, collaborating with the Thorchain ecosystem integrators, interfaces, and protocols. This will be a dramatic step change in the DeFi user experience, and we've been working on it for quite some time. It supports all chains currently supported by Near. If you're interested, feel free to DM me. Help us get back the market share and decentralized exchange ecosystem. We'll announce more in spaces later this week, and we should be launching in the coming weeks. The story of decentralized exchange won't stop at anything and absolutely won't leave anyone behind. Join us. So before I switch to the show the website or whatever, what are your first thoughts on this whole Aztec thing?
I think it's great because like it is a fork of Intents, like Near Intents as far as I'm aware, and Near Intents is a good design, right? Like they have market makers and solvers, and yeah, it's not fully permissionless, but they get really good price execution, and people can swap in confidence, and it works pretty good, right? It's solid tech, but you know, I'm really excited in my protocol. If you have truly decentralized liquidity, right, and these market makers and solvers are anonymous, I mean, I think that's a superior design, right? I think that's really cool. It's the whole permissionless ethos. Like, he's not going to bend on that. Alex is not going to bend on that. He would rather resign than bend on that core issue. So I think it's great. They've been working on it for a while. It also takes into account some of the Ruggiera primitives as well. I don't claim to be a full expert on it, but I think it's a great permutation of concepts that are both very powerful.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, right? The thing that I don't know all. The thing is, I barely wrap my head around Thorchain and Maya.
Yeah,
there's so like the cross-chain DeFi space has really gone above and beyond my meat brain comprehension on a lot of stuff. There's only so much, especially a non-dev can learn. So I'll have to get more into all the details. So from my understanding, first. Thorchain, Maya Protocol, automated market maker liquidity model. You got a pool of liquidity, whether, I mean, it's obviously dual asset, there's other stuff, but basically money goes in, money goes out another one, and then they rebalance. That's just the way it works. In, out, rebalance. In, out, rebalance. It's just like a very simple swap thing. And if one of these pools doesn't have what you're looking for, you can't do the swap. And in order to get that, you need a big chunk of money, which we've learned in this cross-chain world can be risky sometimes too, having a big chunk of money hanging out there for people to use. So like if I want to say, hey, I would love to swap Dash for Firo. Firo has a few million market cap. It's like much smaller. It's like, well, are we going to get a liquidity pool with like 40 grand of Firo and deal with all that? Like it's hard to do. But for like long tail assets, and I did chat with Chad about this as well, about the Intents model and all this stuff, and he that was in Vegas. I think you were there at the time, right?
Yep.
And he's talking about how the Intents model, he seems to like the AMM model. He says it's more efficient. I don't know enough to really know anything, but what he did say that makes sense is that the Intents model is more efficient for long tail type assets, because basically you just say, you publish an intent and say, I have Dash, I want Firo. Right. And it just, anyone who's connected to it says, who wants to solve this? Who wants to give him some Firo in exchange for Dash? And then it gets solved. And the solvers, as they're called, the market makers who are connected to that thing, it's kind of on them to figure it out. And it's not like a very static thing. Well, is there funds in liquidity pool? It's just like, solve it, figure it out. And so you have way more possibilities, but it's not quite like sometimes you run out of trades. So like this did happen with the early days of Dash swapping on Near Intents, is everyone threw money into Dash, and then there just wasn't money the other way because the solvers hadn't rebalanced their stuff. So I was like trying to swap like a couple $100 of Dash into something else, and it wasn't there because it's just one way. And then everything got figured out. Whereas with an AMN, you could always just run money through and out of in and out of the pool. It just will always work. It'll either weirdly imbalance, but then you have a massive arbitrage opportunity, gets re-arbed.
Right.
It's just like a much more solid, always on system, but it's very like it does one thing really well, which is give liquidity, give stuff for a certain price. So I've always wondered about how do you combine all of the above? So what I wonder is, how do you, with Maya Intense, how do you source the liquidity for that and have all the same assets that Near supports? So I'm sure you can tap into a liquidity pool as an arbitrage, like like the liquidity pools themselves could be a solver, right? As in that's a source of liquidity. I think that was mentioned in there. But like if you want to swap, let's just say, I don't know. I don't even know what Near has that Near. How about Near? You want to do Dash to Near. How are you going to do it? Like, where does the Near come from? Do you have to plug into the same solvers as Near Intense? That'll be interesting, and I don't really know. But there's a lot of things that were bandied about, a lot of ideas that came around out of this whole thing. And for me, having an intense-based system plus the AMN system all in the same, especially if it's decentralized, does sound like a winning combo at least.
I'm just spitballing here, but I don't see why you just simply couldn't have. You could take exogenous asset, deposit it in a vault on Maya protocol. That would make a secured asset a derivative, right? And then you can settle in that derivative as a market maker, a solver, right? And then you can then take that same derivative, go back to the base layer, and then the base layer would then output, take that secured asset, burn it for the redemption asset, and then outbound. I'm assuming they have a way where they can do long tails and other assets. That's the part I'm not fully sure on. Really interesting. And I know the app layer is going to have a part in this too. So there's probably an interesting permutation there. Yeah, I'm with you, Joel. I'm not sure how it works. But the really cool thing about that is that the liquidity available is technically bottomless, right? Because as you said, it's constantly arbitraged by people. We don't know who they are. Whoever arbs the pools, balances, it could be anyone in the world. And that's totally by design. And so technically the liquidity is endless on Thorchain and Maya protocol, because even if it gets out of balance, that arbitrage opportunity will always be an incentive for someone to take.
Arbitrage opportunity.
It's a market-based arbitrage, and it's extremely efficient. Like, it's wildly efficient. I think you're right. I think the combination is very powerful.
Yeah, and the one-click swap API, of course, is that like centralized bottleneck for Near, and I wonder if it's just going to be the same for Maya in the meantime, but just from people that are not worried about they're not worried about getting arrested or whatever, maybe a different country that just run it like that. Or I wonder if they managed to decentralize the one-click API.
Yeah, that's what they would have to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, they eventually have to do it, I think. But it's same with Near, in my opinion. Which, by the way, Near Aurora, I believe, which is what the dev shop that the founder of Near Intense, Alex Shevchenko, runs, they have an alternative to the one-click swap API that's also, I don't think, fully trustless, but it's better. It's like fewer trust trade-offs. I'm actually going to look that up, but I mean, I'm sure that Maya, like, if they start if you use the Intense, just so you know, we might block sanctioned payments.
I cannot see that happening. There's just no way Alex would do that, unless it was just like an it was just a temporary thing where, hey, like, we're at this point, we got to get it to here. That might be the case, but he is so locked in on permissionlessness. I think if it's a one-click API, they have a way to decentralize. Maybe it's the validator. I'm assuming it's a validator set, or maybe it's a separate. Dude, I don't know.
Again,
I'm really spinning my wheels here.
Mr.
It's a lot to think about.
Yes. Since this stuff is like everything is changing, right? And I also think that yeah, it's gonna be very fun to see. That's all I'm saying.
Constantly pushing the envelope, right? Like I said, like my protocol and Thorchain, like my protocol, they didn't just stay with Thorchain. Like they tried innovative things, like the solvency thing with the vault and the LP thing. Like unfortunately, they got exploited, but they are trying innovation. They LP units that you can also bond. That's a thing that they innovated on, and now this intense space system. It's just both protocols are trying to solve this problem, right? And we just keep hacking through the jungle. Like something's got to give, something's got to work, and it is working. It's just, can we make it even better? And yes, we can.
Yeah, and like I think we need more innovation in the space. We also need more derivative work in the space. And like if you were to, like, obviously Thorchain and Maya are Cosmos based, so it comes from the Cosmos ecosystem, and I'm sure it's like Cosmos with some, I don't know if like Uniswap was a inspiration at all, because was the first cross-chain or first AMM kind of thing, and they just did a cross-chain Uniswap, or I wonder if it was just like a completely separate idea. I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to accuse. But then obviously Kujira was its own chain, own Cosmos chain doing its own financial type stuff, kind of born out of the Terra Luna ideas. And when they screwed up and got wrecked, then they got absorbed into Thorchain as Rujira. And so that's a derivative now. It's not a fully original thing. It's an original implementation, but it's a new thing. And so then like Maya being like a Thorchain derived, using Aztec as sort of a Rujira derivative, but also a near derivative. My mind is like spinning about how crazy this stuff is, but at least it's like, well, let's take all the best pieces and make something good. I like that innovative, resourceful mindset, at least.
The thing about Kujira, they had a problem. Kujira didn't have liquidity,
as it turns out. But yeah.
Oh yeah, they had a few. But that was the central issue, is they took out a loan. I don't know the whole detail, guys. This is like a Pragmatic Monkey or a Hans topic, to be honest with you. But they took out a loan for the liquidity to do the primitives, right? But then the market, turned bad, and they got liquidated, and then they had insolvency. And so that's how they came to Thorchain. But with the protocol, this is the beautiful thing, is you don't know the innovations you can do, but like having a permissionless pool of liquidity that can be arbitrage, what you can build in that's so freaking powerful. And so Thorchain solves the problem that they had. Now they have a source of liquidity that they can do all their financial primitives on. And so what's being built now, as you say, it's like a derivative in the sense like they're using the same tech, but now they're built directly into Thornode, and the things that they're doing are truly incredible. So it is so exciting. It changes so quick. And like you, Joel, even though I am an expert on Thorchain, the app layer, I've had to start from day one in many ways. Like this is a whole new concept my brain's had to absorb. And I ask all the time, like, wait, what happens with this? Or how does that work? Or things like this. So I am constantly learning. And when Thorchain is so complex by itself, I often forget things. 100%. Yeah. I can't remember everything, It's like I had to remind myself the other day, TCY. Oh yeah, rewards are, it's a store migration. It isn't, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, some things have to have like it's never going to be as complex as the Lightning Network, though. So you don't ever have to worry about that.
Yeah, because of you, I am never touching that. You have got me convinced, man. So I thought years ago, like, this is going to work. And then I listened to 2 podcasts. I'm like, okay, no, it's not.
Yeah, well, also, the as I covered maybe recently, LightSpark, or is a company that runs a thing called Spark, which all Lightning wallets today are a lot of the main easy-to-use Lightning wallets are based on, because it's a completely different L2 system that has like literally two nodes, maybe 3, that are running the whole thing. It's nice. But they're federated, meaning you can't just add a new node. Like you have to have permission from the current nodes. So it's this weird like cartel with this new fake Bitcoin stuff they're spying on everyone with, that then routes out to Lightning later. So it's just getting worse and worse over time. But there'll be some fun surprises on the Dash side for the Lightning stuff, interestingly enough. But the thing is, with all these complex economic machinery things, the possibilities are sort of endless, because how many things can you build that run off of, whatever. Like, the thing is, like, Thorchain is a swap system. My protocol is a swap system. That is like the bread and butter for everything. Just like Dash as a money, as peer-to-peer digital cash. That's what underpins everything. Anything else you put on top of it is something different. And I think that's one of those things that a lot of these smart contract chains have sort of struggled with is, I would say, including Ethereum to a certain extent, but Ethereum did well because they were the original do anything chain. And they, like, you can do anything on it. And then it's like, well, do everything on our thing. And, like, we've had some discussions about, like, Multiverse X in the past because some of their design has been one of the more technologically elegant and advanced as far as that kind of stuff. But then they've just failed to do anything because, like, the stuff built on it, like, they just haven't had a failure to. They've had a failure to launch because, like, what can you do? Anything. So what? NFTs? Yeah, we can do that. Tokens? Yeah, we can do that. This other smart contract? Yeah, we can do that. And I think that Near is one of the first ecosystems of that general purpose. Yeah, you can do anything. To start to think about how you're going to build, like, product market fit. And I don't know if Near AI is going to be what takes off. I'm 50-50 on that. They're doing a lot of, like, this Trezor stuff for, like, it's kind of like a Multisig competitor, and with some trade-offs that Multisig doesn't have, but a lot of advantages that Multisig doesn't have. I think that's cool, but I don't know if that's the way things are going to go. But Near Intense has been the product market fit, the business that really works. And it's hard to do that. Now, the good thing about something like Thorchain and the Maya protocol and Dash, of course, is instead of just you have this floating amorphous can do anything, and you're just like, you have to find a product that's going to work and just boom, do that. And then you have to find another one and do that. You start with a base product. The base product is swaps or payments. Those are in Dash's case, obviously. So swaps and payments. And so then everything you build feeds back into that core use case. So you could, whatever new products you build, like, you're not in search of a killer app like something like Near was, and thankfully they found it. You have your killer app out the gate, and then anything else you build on top of it feeds into it. And this is one of those reasons why I think people were always trying to, like, do DeFi on Bitcoin, because they're like, oh my gosh, like, Bitcoin, like, everyone understands it's the most so far. I mean, I'm going to put my criticisms to the side for this show, at least for now.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like the most trusted chain. It's retained value and has had a decentralized enough mining pool, Valor set, whatever, enough times that this is like the base money of the ecosystem that people would like to use. But then it's just plugging it in. It's got one of those, like, gross ass. I don't know. Have you ever seen like, you've been to Europe, I'm sure. Like, have you the stupid plugs, right? Now, I'm okay with when I travel to Europe and the EU has, like, the EU version. That's fine.
Yes.
I understand that. But then, like, Switzerland has just, like, a weird configuration of these things. And it just doesn't, like, work. And then the UK has their own ugly, stupid one. And, like, just Bitcoin is like one of those. It doesn't plug into anything. Like, if you take American plug, you could plug into all North and South America, and maybe even Australia, New Zealand, if you change some configurations. I think there's, like, a lot of the world that just works on the US plug. And then the EU plug, it works for a lot of countries, maybe not as many. And it's just like, okay, that works. You can plug into stuff. What the hell can the UK dumb thing plug into? You know, pretty stupid little silly island, and you're driving the wrong side of the road, and you're awful food, and, you know, everything else. Anyway, sorry. I used to live there.
Triggered.
Can you tell? So the point is, like Bitcoin didn't plug into anything. It was a massive missed opportunity, and a lot of the Ethereum design choices might have not had that solid base, that solid monetary base that Bitcoin had. That you just have the simple, reliable monetary, again, with all the millions of asterisks and caveats maybe, but like the simple thing that then everything you build on top of brings into. And now they keep trying to bootstrap exogenous revenue and value into like, well, we're going to do like a mint burn mechanism. We're going to do this. We're going to change the emission that. Too many people are staking validators. We're going to cap the validator set. We're going to do this. And just like they keep tweaking it and messing it with it because they don't have that thing. So I think that like the swaps will always be there. The main thing is, what do? I swap. It's like the Rick and Morty meme about like, well, what is my purpose? You pass the butter. Oh my God. It's like, what do? You swap the token for whatever. Oh my God. But at least you know your purpose. You're swapping thing for thing. And then that machine, as you do that, now you have, oh, now I can put things on top of it. The kind of, the example I would give for this kind of thing is almost like, I think, Amazon. So you, like me, are geriatric and have pain in your joints. Is that correct? So,
Indeed.
Do you remember when Amazon only sold books?
Yes, I do.
I remember when anyone was like, let's get books on Amazon, on this new thing that people do. And I love the Jeff Bezos meme where it's like you see him as the nerd and then now like the jacked like Pitbull extra kind of guy. It's just like, I sell books. I sell whatever the fuck I want. It's kind of like that transition. So, but the intelligence behind it though is books are just one thing. But what Amazon built was a distribution network and online marketplace, a global online marketplace, but more importantly, the distribution network is second to none. I remember buying things online as soon as there was an online. I remember buying things over the phone that came in the mail too. I mean, that's how old I am. But like, you can, like that, it was always clunky, but Amazon, like the way to get from a good from a warehouse to anywhere in the world immediately, like next day, efficiently. Yes. No one does that. And it's like, once you do that for books, what else can you put on it? Anything. Exactly. Shove anything in there. And then once you have like a subscription thing, do you want to get Prime Healthcare? They're doing that. Do you want to do Prime? Elon's shooting satellites up in there, giving people internet. Do you want to do Prime Starlink knockoff, whatever they call that? Sure. So you shot 3,000 satellites into orbit now and is now competing with that. But once you have that base, you can do anything. Same thing with like Thorchain, My Protocol, swaps. The base, you have money and can turn money into another money. That's all you need to then, well, what use case can I have where you have money and you want to draw from another money and put the money in here? Anything, really. Just like the pie is the limit, as they say. And so you just start 100%. Making all those things and it just works. Like, oh, if you have money and can send money, what applications do you have with that? And you can pay for that and you can do it privately and instantly, securely. Well, can you do that same engine to send other tokens? Can you do financial derivatives off of this stuff? Can you use that as a gas fee now that you already have this thing set up? That's the resourcefulness that I think that this whole Aztec thing, while I don't understand the inner workings of, I think that's what it does. It just plugs into that base engine of swaps.
Yeah, 100%. That's a really good point. I mean, it's just like you totally nailed it, man. I mean, the sky is the limit. Like because like the base swaps, getting that was super hard to figure out. Like that was just, your eyes are bleeding, blood's coming out of your nostrils. So complex, terribly hard. But we got that pretty much dialed in now. What can you build on top of that, right? Like, so Amazon figured out the whole distribution network. Well, yeah, you have Aztec, that's really intense design. So it's borrowing this really great innovation by Near Protocol. And just full disclosure, everybody, like I think Near Protocol is a great protocol. And I would, if you don't like Thorchain, please, like, get off a centralized exchange and just use Near Protocol. I don't care. Like, the fact that you get off a centralized exchange is my number one thing. Okay, start there. Okay, so I'm totally fine with that. But, like, and also, Mocha. I should talk about Mocha. They're building a point of sale application that, you know, they build on top of Thorchain and Maya Protocol, where if you go in a store, you sell goods and services, and you have an asset, it acts as a settlement layer using the decentralized liquidity pools, right? To go in the settlement layer that the business wants. Maybe they want USDC or USDT on Tron or something. Who knows, right? Whatever it is, or maybe they want Bitcoin or Dash. They can settle in those assets, right? And that's really cool. And so teams, now that we have this figured out, this decentralized permissionless pools, which is it is just the start of everything. It's like a Precambrian explosion now. What comes from it? It's like the single cell organism for the longest time. You have all these different chains, blah, 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 blah. And then finally, it's like you have this multicellular life form, and now you're getting all these amazing things. Like it's not a best one-to-one comparison evolution, but you understand what I'm saying. Like we're just starting to scratch the surface of what we can do and where we can compete on TradFi. Like if what we do in DeFi, if it doesn't beat or at least on par with TradFi, it sucks. Bar none, it sucks, right? We have advantages like self-custody. That's huge, right? Obviously amazing. But if we can't get like, you know, seconds of finality like Dash is doing, shout out to Dash, then it sucks. So we have a lot of ground to make up, and, you know, Thorchain has to get a lot better, and it is getting better. I'm sending my protocol and this Aztec thing. I'm saying, guys, if you want to see the next thing, you should reach out to Maya Protocol, reach out to Alex, reach out, learn about it. I'm telling you, it's really, really exciting. Are you going to have him on the show by chance?
Yeah, I mean, he likes to leave me on red.
Of course.
But I've offered the day of, and I pinged him a few other times, like, yeah, anytime I can do this, I can do that, I do everything. And he's just like,
okay.
He's busy. He's very busy.
Yeah, I understand this is a very busy time, not only because he's helped stewarding Thorchain, but now he has to do with this Maya Protocol fiasco. But I'll try
and he has to
him.
ship. That's the thing, is like, he's got a, I don't know. Here's the thing,
enormous
like
pressure.
people ask me about people, and a lot of the people I interact with, I know very little about, just because I don't probe. Like if we chat long enough, sure, things will come out. But also, like, I probe, like, what's his actual name? I don't know. He's married. Does he have kids? I don't think so. It's like, what does he do in his other? I don't know. I didn't ask, none of my goddamn business for an anonymous person. You know, like let him. Like if he wants to tell me, he can tell me. But the point is, I think he has other things going on in the day, and then he does the Maya stuff on the side, and then helps with Thorchain as well. And now there's the Maya exploit recovery while building Aztec and then raising money. As someone who, like, I've never like raised capital like that, but I have asked people for either donations or grants or sponsorships or sold things. Asking for money. Some people are, if I could become born again into a different person with a slight personality tweak, if I had a talent for successfully asking people for money, my life would be so much better. I just wish I was good at that. Which, well, again, you know, I did get a decent-sized grant for overhauling Dash's privacy, so maybe that's okay, but I wish I was better at that. And maybe this is why I transitioned, because it used to be my day job before crypto was nonprofit fundraising. So maybe I was just a failure, and that's why I'm in crypto. But anyway, go ahead.
Don't sell yourself short, bro. You're the legend, man. You're doing a great job. Well, the thing with Alex is he's such a beautiful human being. Like, I don't, like, if I was gay, I would date the guy. I'm not even joking. Like, he's such a wonderful human being, a very pure, altruistic man, very young guy too. I mean, he's not that young. I think he's like 30 or 31 or something, but he's just a solid individual.
That's not that young. Well, it is for us now, you know.
It is. It does feel up there. But like he's always just been this way, as far as I can tell. Like, just over the years I've known him, and he has this reputation that is well deserved of just being this great human being. Always so friendly, always trying to solve problems, always putting out fires. That I think when he's in a position where he's asking for money to raise money, there's a level of trust, this social, what do you call it? It's like there's capitalization there. Like, this guy is so solid and so trustworthy. Like, people would be more than happy. Like, there's not even, like, for me, like, I'm going to invest in Aztec. I guarantee you. I'm just going to wait for more details, but I don't even question it, right? Like, I'm not worried at all. And I totally understand that the protocol, like,
which, by
we
the
could
way,
fail. Like, anything I invest in
could
could fail.
you as saying, I'm going to invest in the NASDAQ. And I'm just like, well, what an odd thing to suggest to volunteer right now, but sure, good for
Aztec.
you. Anyway.
Aztec. Excuse me.
Invest in the NASDAQ. Yeah, I mean, yeah, most people do, I guess. Anyway, keep
No, my days are over. I mean, I invested in Tesla and it's okay. You know, it was the what do you call it? The GameStop fiasco, GME.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing. I was out, done. And it's so antiquated now, man. If you have any stocks, I was trying to sell stocks. I was like, what the heck's going on? It was like, oh, it's Sunday. I can't. it's like, oh, it's so obsolete. But anyway, I am not, I'm not worried at all when it comes out. I mean, I understand any protocol can, like, it's always risk, right? Of course, everything could fail. Everything I've been building on for 6 years, it could all die tomorrow, technically, right? If I'm being intellectually honest, but I don't worry about it. I just work hard as I possibly can, try to contribute with the skills that I have. And Alex and Chad Barraford and Kenton and you and everyone else, Koitsu and all the developers, all the Maya people, all the Thorchain people, like, everyone works hard. And it's just this amalgamation of effort that just gives me a lot of comfort at night. It's just, these people always show up. They always deliver, like you. You're always consistent. You're always doing, 233 is this episode you've done? You're always going. You're consistent. And that consistency is a personality trait that is invaluable. If you don't got that, then there's just certain things you cannot accomplish, right? It's that just gumption. And your idea to make Dash privacy focused is brilliant. I think it's obvious, but I call it brilliant because it seems aloof to like a huge percentage of the population, right? You've got great instincts, and because of your lived experience, you've now got Dash in a position where anyone can live on it, right? Like that's a huge.
Yeah.
You've got this infrastructure, and now,
I gotta pat myself on the back a little. I don't know, pat myself on the back quite like that, but I'm going to explain some stuff as well. Things are hard, but also like crypto's new, everything's crazy, whatever. This is a multi-decade thing. It's changing the world in this way. And you have to understand the reasoning for why you're doing this. As the great Morton Blackwell once said, you owe it to your philosophy to study how to win. And if you care about freedom, first of all, you have to understand why this matters. Not like, oh, I came in because I like these high-minded ideals of decentralization, but it was just a casino and I'm leaving. Like all those pussies saying that kind of stuff, like leaving. Like, okay, like why did you think you were coming in here? Like I thought I was going to get arrested pretty soon. Like I thought that people were going to go to jail for crypto. Some people have, but despite how tragic and unfair that's been, almost no one has gone to jail for crypto. Like, in those who have, like 80% of them or 90% have been actual thieves and scammers. And then there's been like the Ross Ulbrichts of the world, the Tornado Cash of the world, like some of those people who were innocent. But like, I understand that this is freedom from financial slavery that the whole world is living under. And if we free the money, we can do so much. I understand what this is for, and that's what keeps me coming every single day. That's what she said. That's what keeps me still back in this thing every single day, working as hard as I can. But then past that, you have to have a vision of how it works. So, like, use this instead of fiat. Okay, I'm going to try it out. I know it works and doesn't. Where are we missing? And it's like, okay, well, can I pay my bills? Or I can't. I have to, like, sell for some cash, some peer-to-peer thing, and do that. Okay, well, there's a bill save solution. Let me do that. Can I do this? Like, what are the barriers, and just workshop it and get a grander vision of like, how does this digital cash economy actually work? It takes that you don't come across that like every single day, and you need to have kind of product visionaries, and then also like architectural visionaries, which I am not an architectural visionary. I don't know. I'm not an architect designer because I'm not a developer. I have some ideas on things like, oh, what if they did this or that? But like, you need, like, in just saying in the Dash perspective for a second. Well, even like in Thorchain, like I think Thorchain worked partially. I mean, because Chad, I think, knows a lot about architectural things and how you could do things. Chad Barraford, and JP can sell things and has like a big, like, go, do all this kind of stuff, like mentality. And I think that like Kenton has sort of taken over that JP role, as it were, a little bit. But like, again, he has a vision for selling this stuff and how to run the business side of things. Every company has to have the same, at least. You have to have a business founder and you have to have a technical founder. And that's just, wow, like I'm reinventing the wheel. I don't know. like no one's ever thought of this. Literally the entire global economy does all this stuff. And Elon Musk happens to be very good at being a technical founder who is a business founder as well. And so he doesn't need the co-founder as much. So there's some unicorns like that. But the point is, I understand digital cash better than almost anyone on the planet, I would say. I'm up there in some ways. And it's crazy to think how I knew jack shit like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. How life comes at you fast, right? But you have that, and then the Sam Westrich, or Quantum Explorer as he goes by, the lead developer of Dash right now, he's like a database genius, and he understands how this stuff works, and he's produced some really cool things. He understands the architecture stuff. So it's the architecture and then the vision and business stuff. And that's why we chat a lot, and that's why I've had to apologize to him for yelling at him before, because like, you know, we're just like, no, you can't do it this way, go this way, and then I'm like, sorry, I got heated there for a second. but the moving it forward and making it something good. And Zcash, Zuko, technical genius as far as, and there's tons of people involved at this point, but like technical genius as far as like math, cryptography, all that kind of stuff, beautiful, perfect, everything. Not maybe the best business sense. And when Josh took over ECCE, which is now Zodal, and is pushing that forward, he has a better like sales, marketing, business, at least from the investor standpoint, but also in other things than me. And that's why Zcash has been rocketing. The thing that I would wish Zcash had more is, first of all, more end user leaders, but more importantly, I wish that the Zuko side of things and the Shielded Labs side of things, let's say, and the Zodal side of things were more friendly, because there's a little bit of antagonism under the surface, but you also see it spill over into public. And unlike with Dash, where like we're aligned, we're like, on the same page. So yeah, I mean, Alex and Itzanma, I guess, are the two. The Alex is like the business visionary and structure, and then there's the technical guy. I'm sure Alex has a lot of the technical chops himself as well. Thorchain, again, we have Chad back in the mix, and plenty of people, and then of course you have Randy and Jensen doing all that kind of stuff. So it's all working together.
Yeah, it's working really good. I think it's well said. And, like Chad Bareford, the guy is a visionary. And he can take, if he sees a problem, he comes up with a really, a solution right away, right? And the thing I love about leaders is when they admit that they're not sure. I don't like the leader that is always pretends to be confident. Like, this is what's wrong, this is what we're going to do. He says numerous times on podcasts, I love this quality about him. It's the best quality. He will, if someone asks him a question and if he doesn't know the answer, he says, I have to think about it more, I'm not sure. That's such an important character trait, okay? Because that can quickly get pathological, where you feel like you're trying to uphold some sort of like social, some your own credibility, and you have to fake being confident. I love that. But like, for example, I remember years ago we had streaming swaps. Now we have rapid swaps, which are great, but streaming swap, we had these really big swaps going through Thorchain, right? Really huge. And arbitrageurs couldn't keep up. And so there was an increasing, the price was getting, pushed more and more away from like the sex, right? There was a huge delta there. And Chad saw this. He's like, well, the outbound queue's messed up. We need to add a clout score to arbitrageurs. Mm-hmm. And so arbitrageurs now, because of this clout score, can quickly rebalance the pools much more efficiently than otherwise. It's just one example, but we saw it in real time. We were having when these big swaps are going through, like he spun up like this thing in Discord. We're all watching, listening, and he immediately came up with that solution in like 15 seconds. And that's a very special, unique human being, right? And like your sense, Kenton has this really great marketing business sense. I have maybe some communication skills that are decent. Like everyone has something to contribute, and that's the beautiful thing, right? So whatever shortcomings I have, like I'm not very technical, I'm not a developer, Chad's got me. So I just love that we have a community now where everyone's kind of like figuring out a slot, and we seem to just be gelling so well, man. It's great. Like it's so awesome now. Yeah, I don't think it's ever been better. So like you said beforehand, Thorchain had to go ebbs and like highs and lows when it comes to community. Like there was a time where some validators were not sure about permission, like Bybit hacked. There was $1.5 billion that got hacked, right? And all those funds started going through Thorchain, and a node operator paused the Ethereum daemon, and another node operator voted against him, and then it was a civil war. And this was on top of the Thorpi stuff. It was a legit civil war, and we got to like 30-something% of the total validator set, and finally the permissionlessness won, and we lost developers, we lost a lot of 9 rounds people, we lost node operators. They were uncomfortable about the permissions, like. And so, like what I said before, it's all of these challenging moments where the community, like this rigmarole, this constant struggle, has produced this group of individuals, many of them far more impressive than myself. But when we all come together, I think it just feels we're unflappable, and we're very determined, and we're going to get Dash on Thorchain, and we're just going to go now. We're going to go all out. We're going to do XMR, Firo. We're going to do Pirate Chain, hopefully at some point. Like, we're going all out. We're going all in. We know what we're doing. Just like you and Dash, we've got this mission. We're consolidated. LFG, man. That's what it is. So, it's doing good.
It's all going to work out. And so, well, the thing about this is something.
What happens in a coronal mass ejection? A coronal mass ejection to the sun and wipes out a lot of the infrastructure of the world, electronics of the world. What happens to Dash and Thorchain then?
I don't know. Figure it out.
We'll figure it out, right?
There is something to be said for endurance, and this is in my entrepreneurs figure things out. It solve complex problems, and they're paid for it. They get all the money for solving these problems. That's why they exist. The big thing is the endurance thing, because, and this is a very simple, this is a very simple kind of equation, right? It's like, if you don't succeed at first, try again. Eventually you do succeed. That's the long and short of it. But it's like, yeah, easy to say when you keep failing or whatever. The math behind this is, anytime you do something, you roll the dice. Anytime you ask your girl, hey, do you want to go out with me? Nah, whatever. You roll the dice. You have a possibility. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? If you get crushed by the rejection, whether it's the girl, whether it's losing money, whether it's trying a thing and it breaks, whether it's trying to work out and it doesn't work out and you're, in Chubster or whatever, I don't know, whatever you whatever got going on. By the way, message me on Telegram so I don't disturb the stream by looking at it.
I apologize.
No, sure. It didn't show. I just can't open it without it showing on the screen.
Gotcha.
And everyone's saying,
problem.
"Hey, dude, my balls itch." You're like, no, we don't all need to know this. Yes,
that's awesome.
So with the point is, whenever you roll the dice, you take risk. Whenever you do something, you take risk. It's just always going to be that way. And so the problem is, if you can roll the dice 2-3 times and that's it, you're done. You can't keep doing it. The number of times when Elon Musk came back from bankruptcy or almost had to do this, and just you have to be able to keep going, because you get hit, keep going, keep going. The price dumps, keep going. You just find a way to keep going. If you can keep going, you can keep rolling those dice until you stop getting snake eyes, until you do whatever gambling term means that you make a bunch of freaking money. You keep cranking that lever. Because imagine if you had $5 or whatever. You play the slot machines, and I don't know I don't do that stuff, so I don't really know the details of everything. You crank the lever, as long as you can keep on feeding nickels into that thing, which you don't. You've run out of money in real life. But imagine you had limitless nickels. Eventually, you get a payout and you can walk away with it, I guess. So the point is the resilience of being able to just try and try and try and try and try and just not stop, I think, is what really gets you places. Again, we have 12 and a half years for Dash. We have 5 years for ThorChain, 6 years maybe ChaosNet. I don't remember the exact timing, but like a very long time. And you have calamities and issues and things and hitting you and just like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that sucks. Oh, I lost it again. So if you're still there, you can keep taking those risks, because anytime you have a risk, like here's the thing. If you have $1, that's just $1. You can't get $10 out of it without having a 1 in 10 chance that you get $10 and a 9 in 10 chance you get $0. That's risk. You're paid for risk. And so, if I can figure out how to just fucking deal with risk, then I'm going to make money. That's it. You just have to equate for that. It's just like, it's like, imagine, you're talking about kicking the balls. Again, I don't want to do too many balls on this show, but the point is, if you imagine if like 1 out of 100 times that you got kicked in the balls, you got like $5,000. Wouldn't you find a way to do like the ancient Shaolin iron crotch technique to then just make sure you could take as many hits as possible, and you just be just taking that ball hit machine all day long, just whap, 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 and then money. You just be raining money, and now you win if you can just deal with with the worst thing. So that's what we have to do, is just keep going. Again, as I mentioned, Dash 12 and a half years, 3 different leadership changes at least, 1 chain stall on the main chain, a couple on the other, bugs, delistings, delayed shipping, whatever. But then just been there the whole time, and you can
resiliency and endurance. Resiliency and endurance.
One of these things is going to make it. One of these things is going to work out.
Yeah, the link I sent you was not about my balls, thankfully, but it was a link that I was showing you that highlights the exact attitude we have. Like, I made a simple, just like a Grok Imagine AI thing, but it just shows like you get inputs, right? As a person, you get all these inputs from all these different external forces. You choose the output, okay? And the thing that I want people to understand when it comes to my protocol, ThorChain, even Dash, right, of course, is that I truly believe what we're doing not only is for the greater good, but it's also existential in some ways. I know it's kind of a cliche word to say these days, but like, we have to survive. We have to do this. Our future, the health of society is contingent on the success of a protocol. It may not necessarily be ThorChain, may not necessarily be my protocol, figuring out this problem, right? And so whenever bad things happen, I don't even think about defeat. I just think about, okay, what do we got to do to fix it? Because there's no point in worrying about defeat when you have to succeed, right? If you have a gun to your head, you're not doing it right if you're thinking about like, oh, my family, what are they going to do? My friends are going to be so sad when I take this bullet to the brain. No. What am I going to do to get out of this? What do I have to do to solve this problem? Maybe I can bribe the person. Maybe I can trick them. Maybe I can distract them. Maybe I can tackle them. Whatever you got to do. You owe it to the mission to keep it positive and to keep it going, right? Like, worrying about defeat, I think, is an intellectual inefficiency. You can think about attack vectors, think about what things can go wrong, but then you plan for them, right? When bad things happen, like unknown unknowns, you take the input, you think about it, you choose the correct output. If you can do that, you will be so successful in life. If you get angry about things, that's really bad, because what happens in your brain is that you get neurological like connections, neurons form, and the feedback loops over time. You get angrier and angrier and angrier, and then you're unable to deal with stressful scenarios because your brain is so the feedback mechanism is meant to be a correction, but because of modern technology, like in war, right? Like PTSD, what that is, like if you or I were in a tribe, Joel, and we encountered a stressful event, like we're killing a saber-tooth tiger and it took a swipe at you and you dodged it, right? That stressful event's going to do a neurological change in your brain, and that's a healthy input because you'll be better. But like in war, where you're getting artillery rounds, right? That's really bad for your brain because, you know, the behaviorism becomes so ingrained and so powerful where if you hear a popping sound, like when you're like no longer a soldier, you're like diving under your chair, or you're injured intellectually to the point where you know, it takes a long time to hear that. So you choose your outputs very carefully because it will change your brain chemistry if you don't get it right. It's just how brains are wired. It's So keep it positive, y'all.
Like, it's definitely how you deal with things that matters, of course. Again, this is a self-help podcast now, but like the point is, it's like it's the resilience, but it's also the ability to adapt to that resilience. It is, if a lot of people, there's victim, survivor, and victor. There's the 3 levels, right? By my new course, it's coming out. No, but the 3, like, a victim takes hits and they get permanent damage from the hit. You get hit. Oh, now anytime anyone goes, you're scared. Now you can't do anything. Then there's the survivor, which you go, boom, you come back, boom, come back. You're just always there. The victor, boom, back. Second time, slip. Oh, you got him. Like, second time you learn from it and you get better. And so I think you can get hacked. Like, Thorchain could get hacked 10 more times, not learn any goddamn lessons, somehow manage to come back and just always be in that, oh, it's the thing that gets hacked. Same thing with Maya. But you could, if it gets better every time, you learn your lessons, you survive the inevitable hits and the risks. Because you can't try a thing without a risk that you'll fall on your face. Then over and over.
Yeah.
Then now each revolution you get smarter and better. And each time when you roll, like, here's it, like when you roll the dice, 1 in 100 chance you get wrecked, 1 in 100 chance you win, 99 you get wrecked. Okay, that's one time. You don't have to try 99 extra times if the roll taught you that 30 of these rolls are bad rolls. Right. Now you got a 1 in 70 chance. You roll that again, and then you cut off another 30. Now you got a 1 in 30 chance because you learned another thing that didn't work. And then you roll, and then you win. Now you won. Now you got the pot. And then then the next time you have a 1 in 100 chance you roll a dice, you're like, I really don't know where this is going, but based on the last few rolls, it's actually a 1 in 80 chance because this 20%, I just know that's a no-go zone. I just know that's not going to work. And so then you roll it, and now you got, oh, I didn't win, but now you're like, but I've been smart enough to now I know 40%. I know 40% is off. So now it's like a 50-50 shot after that. So like, then you get better at solving those problems over time, and then you could just, once you figure out how to like pick yourself back up from getting knocked down, but also how to analyze the risk and make better, smarter choices in the future. Now you're just like, give me all the risk, because I know every time I'm rolling these dice, I just know I'm going to start getting better and better outcomes, and I'm going to survive the bad stuff, and the speed to which I get the bigger and bigger things, the better. And I also have this nest egg from all these victories, all the good rolls that I did. And I'm not going to just put all that on the line all the time, because maybe that's ridiculous. And then you just start to win, and that's how these things work. So all that to say, like, the things we've been trying to do, cross-chain DeFi, digital cash, all these things, a lot of things have been tried, a lot of things have been gotten right, but not been the thing. A lot of things have worked. Not everything's worked. Now we're getting to the point where the teams involved, the people involved, people who are still left, have gotten everything right enough to now we can just go to the metaphorical moon. And I'm not saying this as a speculative investor type perspective of like, oh,
Sure.
you're going to make it rich if you get into these things. No, but now we're ready to start taking back over. Again, like in the Dash case, number 3 coin market cap at one point, number 180 something at some point, maybe even 200, and then now the last couple years, back into the first page, back up the rankings, and before you know it, back in the top 20, back in the top 10, back in the top 5. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's like, this is a phrase, in a bull market, everyone's a genius, right? It's the bear market where the meritocracy really comes out. And you've seen countless teams and protocols and various things, wallets, they go under, right? Because they just didn't have, the investor funds, there was the VC money everywhere. It just didn't pan out. And so this is the time you figure it out. And, this is the thing like we talked about earlier, what remind me of is, adapting to change. That's why like I'm constantly trying to reevaluate my own like maybe preconceived notions or my own dogma. Like I was talking about earlier, and I'm sure people who maybe heard me speak about it, they're probably yelling at their phone like, you're an idiot, you're dumb. Like I'm challenging my once very strong belief in open source. I'm like, is open source, does it make sense in an environment like I'm challenging like this dogma in my brain, right? There's like is the variables of the world giving me right now trying to change it in a way, does it make sense to tweak it just a little bit to get through this hurdle and then we go back to open source? Like I'm just trying to be intellectually honest. I'm trying not to get my brain in a matter where I am unable to adapt to change, right? And I might come to the conclusion where open source is good.
Yeah,
right?
you're like, this is like you're
Is it
on
a
your
purism?
Tevano arc. You're on your Tevano arc. Of like, well,
yeah, she's
but if
growing
you
on
can
me.
censor, you should. And like, because like, the whole like, I still believe in this basic stuff, but let's make a couple little exceptions because people we want to block out North Korea. Not ripping on you. I'm just saying, hopefully this makes people understand that side too. Whereas before it's like, oh my gosh, that bitch, she's shitting on ThorChain. It's like, well, now we are kind of too in our own way, like being less than purist to like deal with the realism.
Because the point that she comes from, like I understand where she's coming from. I totally get it. Like and she's not wrong in many ways. Like in the spirit of her argument, it comes from a good place. I think she's wrong overall the conclusions she's drawn through. But in the same way that I challenge my own, it's like, am I being too purist in my views? Am I too rigid? Am I not flexible enough? Right? These are things that I worry about. Right? Because generally speaking, the older you get, the more ingrained you get in the line of thinking. You should always challenge yourself to maybe consider other viewpoints and things. So yeah, I mean, if someone has an argument, and it's a very important skill too, is like if someone disagree, like be able to agree with someone you don't maybe like, or even your enemy. And I'm not saying Tevano's my enemy at all. I'm not going to say that at all. Definitely not. But being able to agree with an enemy is actually a very important skill. Very important skill. Some people, their amygdala, their emotional part of their brain takes over and they shut down that prefrontal cortex. No. You tell that amygdala to sit the fuck down, shut up. You use that prefrontal cortex, you brute force the logic. There's very rare moments where you would look back and said, gosh dang it, I wish I had been more emotional. Unless you're in a play, unless you're acting, generally speaking, you're going to think, I should have been more logical, right? So
typically. Yeah, the emotion thing, sometimes if you need motivation to do the right thing, that's hard. That's where you need the engine.
Yes.
But yeah, let's touch on the Dash stuff and then wrap up. And then
let's do it.
We're good there. So first of all, the big thing we're publicizing today, which has been out for a little bit, but shielded payments are live on Dash. Now, I think a month ago this was merged into the mainnet code base, but as I mentioned before, we have a shielded pool based on essentially what Zcash's technology is, but with 1 second finality and just a lot more ease of use and other things. And so it's a major privacy overhaul, the biggest in Dash's history. So it's probably the biggest upgrade in Dash's history other than the evolution upgrade, which this runs on 2 years ago. So Dash has been cooking. Right? There's some cool stuff, and it's now live on the iOS wallets. The Android one's coming very soon. Also, as today, I ran a Brave ad campaign, and as Crypto Empress, who shout out Empress, posted here the screenshot of the ad. So if you're using the Brave browser, you can open a new tab, and you will see for the rest of the day at least one of these fun ads here. And so, I mean, I've been busy on the shows and stuff, but the price is pumped significantly today, and I'd like to see. Hopefully, I'm responsible for that. That'd be nice. And the last thing, don't forget DashCon September 3rd, Amsterdam, out in the Amsterdizzle. It's 2 weeks, a little bit under 2 weeks from now. Go get tickets, come out, speak. If you want to sponsor, I know we're working out something with the Thor Chads, with Mocha, with some other people, but we're going to make a crazy good event. And it's bookended with Common Sense, which is the Crypto Canal one. That is, again, the best cypherpunk conference in the world that's not DashCon. So come out. It's going to be a fantastic time. I'm assuming you're not going to make it because you don't travel as far, but I'd love to have you there if you can go.
I would I really want to go. I've just got this niggling personal issue I got to deal with that makes travel a little hard right now. But I'm going to go. I'm definitely going to go in the future, 100%. I just got it.
Yes. Well, speaking of future and conferences, it's a lot of work to do these conferences, and it's also a lot of like, oh my gosh, we got to showcase what we've been up to, because the last Dash conference was in Zurich in 2019, and it's been a while. That one had a legendary after party in Munich for Oktoberfest, which I will never forget. I mean, I actually did forget a lot of it for the same reasons. It's fun. We do have some fish in the Dash community, as far as like they don't breathe air, they breathe liquids. So anyway, but there's been so much, like Dash is unrecognizable since then, as far as not only what you can do with it in the ecosystem, but also the tech. So we need a DashCon. But I think next year, two things. First of all, I might not call it DashCon. I might call it Digital Cash Fest and try to get all the digital cash projects together. I'm sure it'll be organized from a Dash slant at the top, maybe, but it'll be like a very like non-branded thing. And all the business solutions that you have, all the ways you could spend it, just make it focused on crypto as money. As a little bit of like a year off from just like the dev-focused everything. We'll see how it goes. The other thing is I probably want to do this in the U.S. as opposed to, out in where the Europoors live. And so finally get some of the North American whatever's out here. I'd love to do it in New Hampshire. I don't know if we can do it. It's Podunksville around here sometimes, but we might be able to do it. And if so, that would be really fun. But either way, it'll be a lot closer. I mean, not that much closer, but closer to where you could attend and some other people.
Oh, way closer. Yeah, I think it'd be great. Yeah, 100%. So,
you
come to America, I'm going.
Yes. So, like, obviously, people know I used to live in Phoenix, and where I live now, Phoenix is probably the same distance as Amsterdam for me by plane. So, I'm kind of right in the middle of like. For me, it's like if I had to hold a conference in Phoenix, it'd be just as much travel and like way less of a pretty city. So there you go. Anyway, DashCon, September 3rd, luma.com/DashCon. Go to the Luma site as well as dash-con.com. Go sign up. Go do that. If you're an iOS user, download the Dash wallet. Register a username. Send me a shielded address. I'll send you a tip or something. It's gonna be fun. And for the rest of you, I guess this might be one more live show until DashCon Common Sense. So I'll see you guys next week then. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your final days before that, and I will see you guys again. See you guys.
Take care, buddy.
Adam, we're here because we love you. And we're all tired of watching you get abused.
Abused? By who?
Oh, hi, I'm Visa. I charge you 29% interest, 3% foreign fees, and make you wait 3 days to see if your payment went through.
But I thought you were my friend.
No, Dash is your friend. Instant, private, under a penny, and with Dash Spend, you walk into over 100,000 stores and pay like a boss.
All ready? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. Feel alive, guys. This is awesome. Tastes like freedom. And I save 5% by using the app.
That's the Dash High, baby.
Let's go.
Download the mobile wallet, one tap, boom, financial sovereignty.